Tee it up from the tips.
All right, let's talk PGA Championship. It's Southern Hills Country Club in, I believe it's Tulsa. Featured groups is Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, and then DJ, Justin Thomas, and Patrick Cantlay. And then Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa as well. So let's look at the odds for this one. And I believe the favorite in the field is Scotty Scheffler along with John Rahm, both at 12-1. Jenks, this is one of the toughest events to bet on just because the field is so big and the competition is so fierce. But do you have any plays you like?
One play I like is I like Will Zalatoris at 35-1. I mentioned that as my overall pick just because I love the value on a guy who is leading the PGA right now in tee to green. His only big issue is putting, and I understand that's a big issue, but you're talking about a guy who's really young, who's going to break through at one point. He was playing so well last year. He's going to get his eventually. I don't know if it's going to be here, but at 35-1, Chelsea, I have a hard time ignoring that.
Yeah, I was somebody who bet on Willie Z top 20 bets for a long time. Now the value's kind of sucked out of that because people know about Will Zalatoris now. But you could sway me on that. That's the problem with golf. There's so many guys you can make a case for, which is why it's so hard to pick outright winners. I think the obvious play on the board, Scotty Scheffler is the favorite, but for good reason. And at 12-1, I think if you play that, or you either play him top 5 or top 10, because the consistency that we've seen from Scotty Scheffler, and it doesn't seem to phase him, the spotlight. And plus the fact that Tiger Woods is at this tournament kind of takes the pressure off Scotty Scheffler just a bit. And even before the Masters, even before he won at Augusta, a lot of people liked him to win the PGA Championship because he has been on the record saying that he loves the Southern Hills course. He played the Big 12 Championship here multiple times, even though they've already done the course. And plus, the level of consistency, like I said, how many wins does he have in his last 8 starts? 4? No one is playing hotter golf than Scotty Scheffler right now. So I think a top 5 or a top 10 bet for me on Scotty Scheffler is worth the money.
I think you're right about that. Now, he definitely has the biggest handle at BetMGM. So you're not alone in your thinking. I'm not alone in my thinking, but it still doesn't bother me. Sometimes the square play is the right play, as we always talk about. And different golfers have said this before. Sometimes as a golfer, you just get on a run where you can't lose and you're playing better golf than everyone else. And eventually the sport and everyone else catches up to you. We saw Jordan Spieth go through that incredible run. We've seen Rory McIlroy do it. We've seen Brooks Koepka do it, where they win a couple majors or 2 or 3 majors, and then they fall back a little bit because golf is such a difficult sport. So while I know everyone is on Scotty Scheffler, and again, it may seem square, sometimes when guys get that hot, you got to keep riding them.
Right. And speaking of, let's take a look at Cam Smith, a guy that was in contention at Augusta. And I'm not sure why people aren't talking about him more because he's having a career year too. Looking at his last few tournaments, T3 at the Masters, won the Players, and coming off a T21 at the Zurich Classic. A guy that certainly has the game to line up well for this major. I think him to finish in the top 10. Let's take a look at the odds here. Plus 225. I think I'm on that. Cam Smith, top 10, plus 225. Ooh. One of the other hottest golfers on the face of planet Earth right now. I think that's a nice value for me.
Well, although I'm not going to bet on top European or top Brit and Irish, these bets always make me laugh not because they're not bad bets, and there's certainly value is value, and if you know these players, you know these players, but for me, I don't really know, frankly, enough of these golfers to make an educated guess. Like, I'm not really familiar with Sam Horsfield at 22-1 as the top Brit or Irish golfer. So those I tend to stay away from because as much as I know about golf, there's so much I don't know. So I'll probably look at a top 10, maybe a top 5 pick for Scheffler or Thomas, maybe Jordan Spieth. I know we had Cam Rogers on yesterday. I feel like it's such a square play as well, but the PGA is the only tournament that he has not won. And he finished second last week at the AT&T Byron Nelson, so he's playing really good golf right now. I might look to play him in a different way as well.
Now you're talking me into Jordan Spieth. That's the thing. Yeah? Jordan Spieth, when he is making putts, he is so streaky, and he can really string together those birdies and be on absolute fire. And he's playing great golf right now. So Jordan Spieth, definitely another name to watch. But for me, if you're looking at country bets, I think the best play on the board is looking at top Canadian. Corey Connors, I think his game profiles well at this course, an excellent ball striker and somebody who's long off the tee. We talk about how long this course can play. They've made it long, and they have some monster par fives on this course. So looking at Corey Connors, 3 straight top 10 finishes at the Masters, another tough course, including T6 this year at Augusta and also T17 at last year's PGA Championship. Like I said, a great ball striker, 5th on tour in strokes gained off the tee, 17th tee to green. And then looking at his competition, it's Adam Hadwin and Mackenzie Hughes, who I just don't think their games fit this course nearly as well. Mackenzie Hughes in particular is a great putter, but just not a guy that can bomb it off the tee. So Corey Connors minus 125, top Canadian is my play if you are looking for a top country bet, if that's how you say it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay away from that because it's not my strength, but I say roll with it, Chelsea.